Today we have something huge to talk about. The headline that the Donald Trump-led United States is reportedly drawing up plans for possible airstrikes in our own country of Nigeria. Yes, you heard that right. The headline, US military draws up plans for airstrikes in Nigeria following Trump's order on terrorists. So let's dive into what's going on, unpack the story, and see why this matters to you, me, and every person in Nigeria. First off, what triggered all of these? President Trump recently pointed at Nigeria and said that the country is allowing the killing of Christians. And he ordered the United States Africa Command, AFRICOM, via the US military to prepare for possible action. Then the US military, through AFRICOM, submitted to the Pentagon a trio of plans: light, medium, and heavy intervention options in Nigeria. Here's a breakdown. The light option would basically mean the US supports Nigerian forces, shared intelligence, logistics, maybe some joint operations. The medium option could involve targeted drone strikes on militant camps, convoys, logistics inside Nigeria. The heavy option would be full-blown aircraft carrier strike group in the Gulf of Guinea, fighter jets or bombers striking deep in Nigeria's territory. But US officials say they aren't currently looking to replicate Iraq or Afghanistan-scale ground war here. Now, why is this a big deal for Nigeria? Why are we talking about it? Because Nigeria is already battling several security challenges. Insurgency in the north, for example, from Boko Haram and the Islamic State. West Africa province, herder-farmer conflicts, armed bandits, etc. But to a lot of Nigerians, it feels different when you hear a foreign power talking about possible strikes in our country. It raises questions: sovereignty, national security, who decides when force is used, what civil or religious violence is being addressed. Let's also talk about how Nigeria responded. The Nigerian government rejected the US's designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern for religious freedom violations, calling the US data wrong, saying Nigeria is fighting terrorism, not religious persecution, and that all faiths are affected. The government also emphasized, we're open to US cooperation, but respect our territory and sovereign integrity. So, what's the gist of this story if I were to summarize in simple language? 1. The US has made a very public threat. Nigeria, you've got issues with violence against Christians, per the US view, and if you don't deal with it, we might step in. 2. The US military is preparing several levels of possible response, from light support to medium drone strikes to heavy combat operations. 3. Nigeria says, hold on, we have national sovereignty, we are fighting terrorism all over, not only Christian persecution, data is faulty. 4. There's a real concern that if things escalate, Nigeria could face foreign air operations in its territory, which would be a major shift and one we should all pay attention to. Now let's talk about the why and the so what. Why is this happening now? There are a few clues. President Trump publicly said that Christians in Nigeria are facing an existential threat from radical Islamist militants. He threatened to cut US aid to Nigeria if the government allowed the killing of Christians to continue. In the US political context, this issue of religious freedom, especially protection of Christians abroad, has become more prominent. Some analysts say the US military and Pentagon noted they weren't expecting Nigeria to become such a priority so suddenly. What does it mean for Nigeria? A few thoughts. If the US goes ahead with air operation plans, it might affect Nigeria's control over its own security and foreign policy. It might also put pressure on our government to act on religious violence, security reforms, data transparency. It could have regional implications. Other countries in West Africa might watch this closely. For citizens, more military operations, foreign or domestic, often raise concerns about collateral damage, civilian safety, unintended consequences. Let me ask you, how do you feel about foreign military involvement in Nigeria's security? Should we welcome any help regardless of who is offering, or should we demand stricter safeguards for sovereignty and civilian safety? Write in the comments below. I'll read and we'll engage. Also, if you're finding this topic interesting, do hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our live discussions on these and other major stories. Let's explore some possible scenarios moving forward so you know what to watch out for. Scenario 1. The US goes with the light option, intelligence sharing and logistics help. In this case, Nigeria still leads operations to US helps quietly. That would likely be the least disruptive. Scenario 2. The US chooses the medium option, drone strikes on identified terrorist camps in Nigeria, possibly in the north or along conflict zones. This is riskier. Potential diplomatic backlash, questions of sovereignty, risk of civilian harm. Scenario 3. The heavy option, aircraft carrier jets bombing inside Nigeria. This is dramatic. Nigeria's government would likely object. Region might react. There's a risk of escalation. US officials themselves say they don't consider full-scale ground war likely. Now, what should Nigeria do in response? A few suggestions. Ensure transparency. If our government is being accused of allowing killings of Christians or any citizens, we need clear data, investigations, accountability. It strengthens our case when we talk of sovereignty. Engage diplomatically, seek dialogue with the US, clarify positions, preserve autonomy while accepting foreign cooperation where helpful. Strengthen internal security reforms. Terrorism, insurgency, farmer-herder clashes, banditry, these all matter. If Nigeria addresses them strongly, the argument for foreign military action weakens. Protect civilians. Whatever operations happen, domestic or foreign supported, make sure civilian protection is top priority. Before I wrap up, let's talk about why you should care. Whether you live in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, or any part of Nigeria. Because airstrikes or foreign military operations in Nigeria mean someone else's planes or drones could be flying over your community. Because this story is about religious freedom, national sovereignty, global power dynamics. It touches us all because our country's image, our government's response, our regional status are all at stake. Because tomorrow we might wake up to announcements that affect security, movement, or aid. So that's the situation as of now. The US is digging in. Nigeria is pushing back. The world is watching. And yes, it is serious. If you're watching this right now, please like the video, subscribe to support the channel, and leave a comment giving your view. Should Nigeria accept possible US military air assistance, or should we fight our battles ourselves?